विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।
Hello everyone, welcome back to 18th World Education Summit 2021, organized by Elets Technomedia, Knowledge Partner Digital Learning Magazine, School Partner Global Indian International School, GEMS International School Gurugram, GEMS Modern Academy South City Gurugram, Music Innovation Partner Furtados School of Music, Associate Partner Gyan Mark Technology and Practically 3D Virtual Platform Avatar. So now we are going to start last session for today, and topic is providing social emotional wellness to students. And we have very eminent speaker with us. So I welcome Dr. Neeta Bali, Director Principal, GD Goenka World School, Gurgaon. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Next, Radhika, Bhushan, Founder Director, SKB Little Folks Preschool, Kanpur. Welcome to the summit, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then we have Geetika, Bahuguna, CEO, Millennium Group of Schools, Noida. Welcome to the summit, ma'am. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Kavisha, Khurana, Director of the Chintels Group of Schools, Kanpur.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr.
We have Ms. Sheela George, Principal, ASPAM Indian International School, Sharjah, UAE. Welcome, ma'am. Then we have Lakshmi Kadiyala, Academic Director, Jain Group of Schools, Hyderabad. Welcome, ma'am. And in the last, we have Dharini Upadhyaya, CEO, and co-founder, Furtados School of Music. Welcome to the show, ma'am. And now I would like to invite Dr. Neeta Bali, ma'am, for moderate this session. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and a very, very good evening to all the panelists present here. Very eminent panelists, and I'm indeed fortunate and privileged to get this opportunity to interact with you. So, on behalf of Digital Learning and Elets, welcome again. And the topic for today's evening is very, very pertinent, particularly in today's scenario. Everyone knows that we are all reeling under the impact of COVID-19, which has been shrouding the entire country, the entire world, in fact. And the children are the worst hit amongst all. And you, as educators, would understand, empathize, and completely feel the pain that these young people are experiencing and how it has very badly affected, adversely affected their emotional, social well being and wellness. Because children have been cloistered in their homes for almost a year now. It's only now that a few schools are beginning to open. They are craving to be back with their teachers, they're craving to be back with their peers, and definitely they are in need of a great deal of support because everyone seems to be wallowing in this kind of emotional sense of, abysmal sense of emotional deprivation, if I may say so. Uh, so I'd like, in fact, to start off this beautiful session, which is so pertinent, by asking the panelists to comment on a few of the things that we feel are very pertinent in this discussion. And before I begin, I would request the panelists to please be concise so that everybody gets an opportunity to express their views. And let us not be repetitive in our views. That's my kind submission to all of you. Let me first start by asking Mrs. Geetika Bahuguna, COO, Millennium Group of Schools, Noida. Ma'am, how do you think the emotional, uh, social health, good emotional social health, can help help the students to do better in school? How does it impact their performance? Mrs. Bahuguna, you there? Are you able to hear me? Okay. Let me repeat this question and take it to Ms. Radhika Bhushan, Founder Director, SKB Little Folks Preschool, Kanpur. My question was, how do you think good social emotional health can help students do better in school? How does it impact their performance? How does it enhance their performance? A good social and emotional health.
See, the social and emotional health of every child is so essential and really helps the overall development and in their learning. So, when children are mentally healthy, they tend to be happier, they show greater motivation towards learning, they have a very positive self image as well as a positive attitude towards school. So, therefore, they participate more. Actively in classes, they demonstrate higher academic performance, and that's in comparison with less mentally healthy peers. So these children don't have trouble following directions and participating in learning activities. And since they are enjoying such strong social emotional growth, they're normally in a positive mood and they listen well. They have close, trusting relationships with their teachers. They feel free to question, respond, and they show greater interest. Then they care about peers, and they're able to handle their emotions, and as well as failures, they're able to handle, and they can show empathy. So I feel that they really make a lot of progress in all ways. They are more confident and very self-assured. So it eventually helps in the child's education and his learning.
Thank you. I think so very appropriately put, Radhika ji. You spoke so beautifully about the happiness quotient, because I think all of us have been, often on we talk about EQ, but I think a lot of us should also now be talking about HQ, so to say, the happiness quotients. So when children experience good social emotional health, obviously they're happier, their happiness quotient is higher, and as you very rightly said, there is greater positivity. So if there's greater positivity, they're definitely more receptive to learning. They're more receptive to learning. They can handle their emotions so much better. They show greater empathy for their peers. So I think overall, when children are happier because of good emotional health, they tend to perform better. Sometimes I think, as teachers, we completely forget that uh, all children who come to our classrooms carry a story with them, and some of them are carrying huge emotional baggage with them. So I think it is extremely important to pay a lot of attention to the social emotional health of children. May I now come to Ms. Kavisha Khurana, Director, the Chintels Group of Schools, Kanpur. And ma'am, ask you a question about how do you interpret the term social emotional wellness? How do you interpret the term social emotional wellness, and how do you promote it in your schools?
Thank you so much, Neeta ma'am, for the questions. And I just want to carry forward where Bhushan ma'am ended. In fact, I would like to tell, I would actually accept what she said, that happiness definitely ensures learning. And of course, the children who carry baggage, as you just said, the emotional baggage is laid on by the parents on the child. But here, Neeta ma'am, I would like to tell you that when during the pandemic days, when the teacher could not face to face see the child, can't feel the emotions. So very frequently we used to have a lot of counseling sessions with the children, and I also conducted many counseling sessions with the children. And here on a quick, am I audible? Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, absolutely.
I just got the message that my mic is off. Anyways, so Sunita ma'am, we conducted a session. So I would here like to put it that I would like to tell about a snowball effect here. What is a snowball effect, ma'am? That you make a ball of snow, and it's still small when you make it, but when it leaves your hand, it goes bigger and bigger and bigger. Same happens with our children, with all our minds rather. Everything starts with a little problem, but probably the judgments by the peer, the self judgments, the illusions they make. So this snowball, which was this much, which started probably with uncertainty or a small thing, it just grew bigger and bigger and bigger. So we need to curb the snowball very soon before it gets bigger and the child takes a deeper action, get into anxiety and later depression. So we have to curb it. So the best way about it is that you need to talk a lot. And when it comes to talking, you cannot be firm when it comes to talking. You need to be very polite. The schools need a lot of counselors when we all come to it. On a very quick note, let me just read out one or two. I've mentioned it also somewhere that when I took a counseling session for the senior grades, ma'am. So you won't believe, we usually say when pandemic began, okay, trust God, everything will be okay, have faith. So, and then the children mailed back to me that what are their problems, what are they facing. I'll just read a quick mail. One of the child, say XYZ, said that, ma'am, the COVID-19 pandemic is a watershed moment in the history. Destruction are the birthing pangs of the new era. We hear the footfalls of the departing gods fading behind us, even though we do not see the footprints of the incoming gods in front of us. How can you say that we believe we should keep up the hope? We should keep up the hope. Here is where we seep in, ma'am. That we need to tell that everything will be fine, and indeed everything is better now. But during those hours when a student of class 12 is preparing for, say, JE, or is looking for a future which he needs to earn, so he says, Ki, everybody's job is going, why should I study? Here is where we seep in and say, this is where you need to be mentally strong. And probably COVID has got us very close to the technology we all are talking. Probably this is the tomorrow. Let's accept it. So we should need to just stop the snowball effect, ma'am, as early as possible.
Kavisha, so beautifully described, I must say. Your snowball effect that you spoke of, something that starts out as a small problem, gets aggravated, and then assumes very alarming proportions. If one can nip it in the bud by reaching out to children in a very non-judgmental and simply listening to them, because I think listening to people also has a very therapeutic effect. I think that is something, a skill all of us need to develop, listening to people, because I think you take away half their pain when you listen to them. And how beautifully you brought out, the child's mail, brought out the fact that when people are losing their jobs, what's the point of studying and preparing for a career? So when, people start to lose hope, when people start to lose hope, that is where I think our role as educators comes in. We need to teach ourselves and children and everyone around us, as educators and administrators, teach everyone the art of resilience. And I think resilience is what will take us through this really tough time, that somehow already things are improving. If you can get them to look at the brighter side of things, I'm sure you can instill a sense of optimism and hope. But how well described the snowball effect that you spoke about. And I do hope that every school realizes the need for non-judgmental counseling and trained counselors. Very, very well said.
Thank you, Bali, ma'am. Thank you.
Let me just very quickly ask Ms. Sheela George, ma'am, how would you differentiate? I mean, how do you differentiate between emotional wellness and social wellness?
Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Social wellness is actually the kind of interactions that children have with people around without any kind of a fear. And emotions is what they manage. That is the self-regulatory behavior that is instilled in children right from the primary, I would say, where they're able to manage their emotions very well, and they're able to, control themselves at times of, when they have situations where they're not able to deal with. And I think from primary, we do teach children in all schools of how to develop the self-regulatory behavior, which can enable them to control the emotions, and social perceptions, where the children are able to perceive things, interact with comfort, and where they're able to understand, differentiate between the negative and positive, are able to manage themselves, very well. So social wellness is all about that. I think during this COVID time, children are being taught more on these wellness areas, just not in the classrooms, but also outside the classrooms, where we partner with the parents. At the same time, we also have a counseling sessions as well as assemblies, and in the classrooms too, where the teachers are teaching lessons in moral education as well as in all of the subjects. Somewhere they integrate this wellness, it is SEL, so that children are able to understand and are able to come up with optimism and develop a productive positivity. This is what I feel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheela. I think you brought it out so well. When you talk about emotional wellness, I think we're talking about behavior which is essentially self-regulatory, as you called it. And of course, social wellness has to do with the people around you, or entire social milieu. However, I think both are very, very closely interconnected. In fact, if I were to talk about emotional wellness and social wellness, I would say they're so deeply interlinked and so integrated, because unless you experience a degree of of emotional wellness, you are not able to relate to other people. I've seen a lot of young people during this time when they have been studying online and where they've had very limited interaction with their peers and their teachers, suffering from a form of social anxiety, because they are perpetually confined to their laptops, to their rooms. They feel shut in and probably also claustrophobic, and they've gotten used to it. Probably the comfort of your room and the laptop. Some of them are suffering from terrible social anxiety pangs. Lakshmi ma'am, would you like to comment on this? Do you also experience in your schools, do you also have children suffering from this kind of a fallout effect of online teaching learning, resulting in this kind of emotional lack of emotional wellness and anxiety?
Yeah, good evening, all of you. I would strongly feel that it is easier to build strong children rather than repairing the broken adult. So it's very crucial for any educator to handle the emotional well-being and the social well-being of a child. And especially in this pandemic, as you rightly said, that when all of them are cramped up within the four walls of the houses, and then each one is, bumping into others' personal lives, especially for the adolescent children, they had a lot of, listen. So most of the problems will be solved by listening to their problems. So we kept on giving them lot of separate breakout sessions where the children were talking to the teachers, and then they were allowed to express all their views, and they went out all their feelings. So once they started venting out all their feelings, obviously the kind of emotional strength that the child would get, because the child would be realizing that yes, there is somebody who will listen to my problems. First thing. Second thing, there is somebody who is respecting me, and third thing, there is somebody who is accepting my feelings, and they too have feelings. And the fourth one is that we will make the child, or we have rather made the child believe that yes, it's okay to have negative feelings. It's not possible for all of us to have positive feelings all the time. It's okay. But at the same time, the beauty of EQ lies in managing the negative feeling and turning their negative feelings into positives. So this is how where the role of educators really comes in. And we as educators, we have to give them more tools to manage their emotions. And because see, all the children, all of you know about it, they identify their childhood feelings like fear, and then sadness, and there are various other feelings that they have, and all those childhood feelings they know. And what will happen is that anger, especially now, it is the role of that school to convert the anger into peace, and then the fear into safety, the loss and grief into joy, and then the loneliness into the social connectivity. So this is where we need to really work hard, and by creating more and more counseling rooms where the child will be confident enough rather to vent out all the feelings and create that kind of a very, very conducive atmosphere where the child will express her feelings. I think that's how the issues. And I'm sure that though there were few students who had the issues, they overcame problems with the help of our counselors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi. I think very, very appropriately said. Definitely, all of us need to make a concerted effort to ensure that children's mental health and well-being is promoted at every stage. May I now ask any one of the panelists to speak about perhaps, do you feel that there is a stigma attached to anyone who seeks help, particularly if they're suffering from some kind of behavioral aberration or so lack of social emotional wellness? Have you ever experienced that you've had people attach a stigma to it? Anyone, any panelists would like to speak about it, please?
I don't mind speaking about it. I'm Radhika. Neeta,
Yeah.
I work with very, very young children. I work with children who are below 6 years. And when we identify a problem in a child, it is the most sensitive and the most difficult task to make a parent understand first what the problem is, and two, it's very, very difficult for a parent to accept because they just do not, there is such a social stigma and such a sense of denial that parents lives in, that it takes you sometimes months to get across and to see reason, get psychologists to check the child, convince the parent, either one of the parent, if that parent begins to understand that yes, there is a behavioral problem and we need some sort of help and intervention which is professional, it can get very tough because today's society does not allow people to, firstly, parents' acceptance becomes difficult, and then it's a whole family. We have this joint family system, and the first instinct is this school is crazy and let's withdraw the child. So,
Absolutely,
it is
absolutely.
an issue.
I think,
And
Radhika, you really have a point there. As a school head, I've experienced very frequently that when parents bring in, it's very rare that when a parent brings in a child for admission, the parent is willing to talk about an emotional issue or a difficulty, a learning difficulty.
yeah,
Most parents seem to be in a denial mode, particularly when you've administered some kind of a test. It's and you try and make the parent understand, or when you're interacting with the student, generally as seasoned educators, one does, you can feel that there's something amiss, so you do ask questions, and parents are reluctant to answer them. Not just that, they're often in a denial mode, even in the classroom. When there is a referral, there is a certain a procedure which is followed. There are referrals by teachers, and after the referral goes to the counselor or to a special educator, and they come to a conclusion that the child needs assistance, and you call for the parent. The parents are generally in a denial mode, though
yeah,
often
I mean, it's very
we
tough
tell the
for them.
parents. Have you all experienced this, that they're in a denial mode?
Always.
They're reluctant to accept that there's something wrong. Often we
Yes.
tell them that there's nothing
Always.
really wrong. It is just an indicator that your child may want to learn differently, and probably your child needs assistance. So you should be forthcoming. The fact that the school has taken the trouble to apprise you of a problem which you have probably chosen to brush under the carpet, to push under the carpet, doesn't necessarily mean that the problem does not exist. The problem is there. Let us acknowledge it, and let us see what we can do to help the student. So please seek support. I often tell parents, please seek support. Such children, particularly for children, those who require assistance in terms of emotional support, counseling support, or special education needs support, I tell the parents that such children have, there's something called accommodations in the exams. And these children are given that extra time to be able to complete their exam, or they may be given a scribe. So your child is actually at an advantage. You're helping your child, but by denying, you are doing your child a disservice. So I really feel that it's very important that this kind of stigma which has been attached to lack of social and emotional well-being needs to be, definitely needs to be overcome. Let me go back to Ms. Geetika Bahuguna. Are you there, Ms. Geetika?
Yeah, I'm there.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So, Ms. Geetika, I would probably like you to comment on what we have been speaking about. Can you suggest some of the ways we can promote the happiness quotient, positivity, and probably emotional and mental well-being amongst children,
Sure.
as somebody who leads a group of schools?
Thank you, Neeta. In fact, thank you for the question. And, I very strongly believe that social, emotional well-being, it is actually the cornerstone of all kind of learning. You cannot learn unless and until you are emotionally and sound, because I think everybody had also shared that happiness or emotional status plays a huge role in the way learning happens, and it's scientific. In fact, we are talking about it right now, and these are the buzzwords, which are making rounds in the education sector. Only after the research has thrown open that a child's well-being, holistic well-being, is incomplete unless and until the child is happy and he is, safe in an environment and he's able to learn. So our schools, in fact, we believe that EQ comes before IQ. In fact, Millennium Group of Schools, our entire curriculum, our approach is based on happiness. We feel and we strongly, ensure that whatever the child does in the school becomes a happy place. And everything, when we talk about whether it is the immersion of learning, whether it is helping the children interact with their peers to build that social connect, because learning also requires the brain only functions when when there is positive emotions. And positive emotions are created when the environment of the class is scintillating, when the environment has the teacher is a happy teacher, the school is vibrant, and there is positivity and there is no judgment, where the child feels that he can be himself, he can be, he's able to make mistakes, he's able to ask a question, and there is complete freedom of thought. And those are the conditions which are required for any kind of learning to happen. And in fact, for me, social emotional well-being is like hygiene. If it is there, it is, you are not able to estimate what is its contribution towards academics and achievement. But if it's not there, you don't even know even the kind of dent it makes in a child's achievement, not only in the academics, but also in life. So, in our schools, when, there are certain tools that we use, firstly, where, the connect between the teacher and the child. There has to be a positive emotion. There has to be a chat. You cannot just begin a lesson by, going straight into the cognitive domain, because your social, emotional, and cognitive, all the domains are interconnected. In fact, theories have also proven that unless your basic social and emotional status is, in a stable state, you cannot move on to the cognitive level. And there are techniques like where you're doing circle time, there are techniques like where you're doing guided imagery. In fact, our lesson begins with guided imagery, where a child goes through a little meditative exercise in every lesson, and which kind of calms the child, and it creates that, so every teacher is trained to build that, EQ with the child. Because our philosophy is that we are not really preparing children only for the university, we are preparing children for the universe. And universe doesn't only require your cognitive abilities, it requires your emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, and social intelligence. Because now the definition of intelligence is also evolving. So what a child requires when he steps into the world are these competencies. And we call them competency because these are skills. If we are able to nurture them from the very beginning, we are able to prepare a child holistically. And in fact, our curriculum and our approach, our pedagogical approach is completely integrated with EQ tools, where, it is completely child-centered. And a child, in fact, most of the anecdotes, even during this pandemic, the children are happy to kind of, interact with the teachers. So our mandate is that even if the child is not achieving in, in his syllabus, but if the child is happy, staying connected with the teacher. And for that, we have to sensitize the parents and build that emotional bond. So there are a number of things which one has to do, but then I think the teacher has to be happy herself. Teacher has to be genuine in her approach to the child, because, happiness is energy and genuineness is energy. If the child knows that the teacher's concern towards the child is honest, is genuine, so this energy is palpable, and the child is able to form that emotional bond with the teacher. And we've seen great results, because there are parents who come back and tell us that our children don't want to come to school even on a Sunday. In fact, when our schools reopened in Punjab, we had 85 to 90% attendance. While, even the pre-primary children were ready to come back because of the emotional connect that they have with the school. So nobody's looked down. There are ground rules. There are behavioral norms where a child cannot be, talked down, and the communication, how the communication happens with the child. So there are various things which which are integrated in the way teaching learning happens in our classes. And in fact, we have also ensured that emotional and social contracts are built with the children and the parents. So I think that's what my take on the
Thank you.
how we
Yeah.
do it.
Thank you, Geetika. What an enriching insight. How beautifully you brought out the fact that cognitive, emotional, social well-being are all cogs of the same wheel. That you cannot have a student move forward, you can't have a young person move forward until all these needs are met. Unless the emotional, social needs are met, cognitively also the cognitive domain also will remain unfulfilled.
Correct.
I would now request, we have a lady from Furtados School of Music. Ma'am, I'm so terribly sorry. I think I was a little occupied, could not get your name. If I could just request you, my apologies. I should have ideally called you by name. May I please know your name?
Dharini.
Dharini. Yeah, Dharini. Somebody who represents a school of music, something which is very close to everyone's heart, Dharini. So, Dharini, I'd like you to speak about what role does music play in promoting social and emotional well-being? Because that is, I think, for all ages, whether we as adults, every time I go out on a walk and I put on my earphones and I'm listening to my favorite music, I think half your worries just disappear. So, Dharini, would you like to comment on that, please? Thank you.
Most certainly, most certainly. I think all of us were talking about it all this while, about social and mental wellness and how we do counseling. And, Dr. Lakshmi also said this very beautifully in during her, conversation as to how it is important to handle a child probably who's still anxious rather than a broken adult, help manage a child's emotion early on. And what more beautiful than music? You were all talking about building a positive environment, creating happiness, the happiness quotient. You said it yourself, Dr. Bali, that when I hear music and I go for a walk, half of my problems are already sorted out. How many of us on this panel don't agree that, or agree that we all love music? Is there anybody who doesn't like music? We all go to it. We may have our preferences of listening to different genres of music, but I think why we as a society are facing this challenge, we are facing so much of pressure. We are all so left brain centric, so left brain focused, so academically competitive, and so driving our youth towards ensuring academic excellence and outcomes at all points in time. We as a society are focused on bringing excellence to achieve success, which is further defined by great marks, great college admissions, great career opportunities in careers which are well known, in companies which are more well known, which probably help you earn six-figure salaries and so on and so forth. But the most important thing that we forget is we all do well when we are doing something that we love to do. We are not instilling this, this curiosity, or we are not furthering the curiosity of our youth to enable them to find what is it that they love to do. What is their passion? How do I go about finding that? I do music. I can do a little bit of dance. I do art. I enable my right brain development. I enable the creative side while my logical side is sufficiently fed. My right brain is usually starved. I don't get space to, kind of ease off my schedule or do something which at the outset will bring a smile on my face, right? And I think we all need to enable that for our children, for our teachers, for our parents, for our community. I think this is so imperative. We all have to learn how do we find that 1 or 2 hours in a day when I do something that I love to do. And music has a very, very powerful role in shaping the personality of a child. It's proven through research that, when you're playing music, there are chemicals that are released in your brain which trigger positive emotions. You want to make your children feel happy? Maybe in the day, give them an hour of music, which is like fully zealous, engaging, interactive. You will see they will come out bubbly. They will forget what happened. They will forget probably that, in the previous class, the teacher scolded them for something or a friend pushed them down. They're going to be back into the moment of joy and continue to teach them how to use these different art forms as a release from their stress. We need to teach them how to overcome these challenges. They have to learn that in their own. In the real world, that is what we need to equip our children and our young people with. Today, we see rising cases of depressions, suicides. Why do the young ones feel that? Why is there so much of hopelessness? Because I cannot put my heart into something that I love to do. I have still not discovered that this is my area of passion and this is what I really, really love to do. And that's where the disconnection happens. There was a beautiful research that stated that in US 80% of the people do jobs which they do not like to do. 80% is an overwhelmingly large number. And why is that so? Because we have never been nurtured in a way to, further ourselves into pursuing something that we love to do. We do what is meant to be done. And that is something that lands us up in situations which may or may not be favorable. And I think giving them this exposure to different art forms along with academics will broaden the scope of their understanding. It will help them discover what is it that their passions are, and they will be able to make a choice in the field that they will really be able to make the most of. And each one of you, Furtados School of Music so believes in this. I think it's our dream to reach music education to every corner of our country, to every school and every child in the country, so that this joy of learning music can be felt, can be experienced, and can be shared further on. I really think music transforms people, makes you a great human being. The whole life, left and right brain connection only furthers more excellence in a human being. And that's where music plays such an important role. And I'm sure, with NEP bringing in the policy to have arts integrated with academics in mainstream, will only further this acceptance in the society as a whole, where we all feel that this is a must have and this is a nice to have. We will possibly be able to accept it, that all of this needs to be experienced for me to figure out what is right for me and then pursue it accordingly. So there you go. That's what I believe in music, and very, very glad and happy to see how arts education is getting integrated and how we will be able to bring music and smiles in the lives of many, many more young, old, and all age groups across the world.
Thank you, Dharini. How beautifully expressed, I must say. I can very clearly see that you're very strongly espousing the cause of music and your company both. However, having said that, you're absolutely right. I think music has a cathartic effect, absolutely, because not merely does it allow you to get rid of your sadness, your anxieties, to put them at bay for some time. Definitely, it stimulates hormones that enhance your sense of well-being and happiness. I've seen it as a parent in my own home when my little fellow would sit down to play his guitar. Of course, there were moments, when it would get irritating to hear somebody humming a guitar all day. However, I could see that he was so much more happier than he is now when he's working and not dedicating enough time to his music. You're absolutely right. And I'm so glad that NEP, the new education policy, is taking into account the significance of the positive significance and impact that activities like indulging in music, art, theatre, and creativity is going to have on the cognitive domain as well. I would also very quickly now like to go to maybe to Sheela and ask her, when we talk about mental health, do you have any ideas? I mean, anything that you'd like to share about inclusive classrooms or differentiation in a classroom where you have children who are grappling with social emotional problems or children who are grappling with learning disabilities? Sheela, would you like to speak about differentiation and inclusion?
Yeah. Well, yeah, differentiation is a topic around the world where people are talking about it. When we talk about differentiation, the most important thing that we do is we bring in the word equity. How do we build in equity so that excellence is built, in the class by understanding the potential of each student, and then accordingly the curriculum is being designed. What we do is over here, we have been trained we have the PLC, the professional learning communities, where we are being trained on how to frame or design a curriculum that is well balanced so that it can cater to the needs of every student while we take in the multiple intelligence too, However, though the curriculum is there, the instruction, the assessments, yeah, there are problems sometimes if you see where, the teachers have to be trained constantly to bring the best practices into the classes. So when we do the result analysis, what we do is the data analysis, we get to know the performance of each student, and it is all evidence-based practices where we get to know where the students are, especially students who require more help, whether it is determined students or the low achievers, where the teachers talk about the different strategies they use. We also, coordinate with the parents to see how the support is given from home. We also have this multi-tier support system. It's an intervention program where our teachers use the remediation approaches time to time to see how well the children can be moved forward. Irrespective of all these systems, procedures, or practices that we use, sometimes the goal that is being framed or taught by a teacher or a student, it's not possible for them to reach to that whatever they have targeted. So where we ask the teachers to review and to move forward. So differentiation is used in this way in our school, where teachers have been constantly trained. Though we have systems built, what happens is there are times when one has to review and see if things are going on well, though we might be having observations. So that's how we go about in our school. While we also have referrals, okay, if there's a determined student, as we were discussing just now, we have the diagnostic test, and from there on, we look into the starting point, and then we move forward to the end point to see where exactly the children are. So this is what we do, and for us, the data is connected with instruction, and we try to see through that how the teachers are being professionally trained to build the best in the class. So that's one part of it. When we talk about the social emotional factor, a lot of work has been done, just not in our school, but schools in UAE, where it has been integrated with the academic work. Now, for example, if a teacher is teaching science on digestive system, now how does a teacher teach the child what the good and the bad? Over there, the teachers talk about what kind of food to be eaten. It depends there again on the syllabus and the curriculum. So the child is able to differentiate between the positive and the negative. So each whole subject, the subject has been connected with the social emotional well-being through the concepts that's being taught through the skills that are being taught to the children, so that children are able to manage themselves well. We are talking about a sense of belonging, self-management skills, responsibility, accountability, decision-making skills. How do you build that? It is all built through these subjects when the teachers are teaching in the class. While we also have our non-scholastic, the co-scholastic activities, where through music, as she was, the person was talking just now so wonderfully, we also do that, where children connect music with all the core subjects. They enjoy doing that. So this way we move forward. We try to build the best systems into our curriculum, so that the best is being given to the children. And constantly over here, what happens is, our regulators, they train the leaders, the school leaders, and the teachers to bring in the best for every child. So that way we move forward. But still, I would say that we have to keep reviewing the systems.
Absolutely, absolutely. So very well said, Sheela. And I think all of us realize immensely the importance of the emotional wellness, which leads to social wellness. Somebody else spoke about using guided imagery, which I thought was a wonderful idea. I would request each panelist to please share any one strategy, and be very specific in sharing a strategy that you use in your school, or in your surroundings, or with students, or with children at home. For example, you spoke about guided imagery that was given by one of the panelists, who spoke about how happiness is energy when you use guided imagery before you go into a cognitive domain, how it enhances receptivity to learning. May I ask each of you to share, Radhika ji, if you could share with us any one strategy that will help to enhance the social emotional wellness, a concrete strategy.
As I told you, and Neeta, I again reiterate that I work with children below 6 years. So we have an amazing bond with our kids. There's so much trust that, they're like friends. I mean, we are so close, and we ensure that this bonding goes on. And whether it is through stories, or whether they are, creating stories for us, we listen to each child. We give a lot of patient hearing to them. And we are talking constantly. We build such a relationship of trust that the child is so free to speak his mind, whether they are being angry or whatever. We are trying to, orient their, emotions into a very appropriate and acceptable manner.
Absolutely. So Radhika, I think you're speaking about creating stories. And
Yes.
I think if stories can be woven, it gives a complete vent to children's creativity, to their imagination. So I think weaving stories, weaving a yarn, so to say, could be a
Yes.
beautiful way. Absolutely, a beautiful. Weaving a yarn can be a beautiful way of creating the sense of well-being. So very well said. Geetika ji, if I could ask you for a concrete strategy, just as Radhika ji gave us one on weaving a yarn, storytelling, creating a story. So Geetika, if you could tell us of a strategy.
A very common strategy is circle time, which works very well in children, sharing as to, for example, there could be a situation. What makes you really angry? So it gives children the time to kind of think of, reflect into their own emotions and their own predispositions to see what makes them angry and share it. And then, the circle time can go on in the second, first round could be where everybody shares what makes you really angry. And then the second round, you can ask, okay, what is it that the others should do to not to make you so angry? So there actually, it is self-reflection where the child also gives a solution to his problem. So one is self-awareness, then he's actually able to give, and which also helps in positive relationship, because the other children would probably know that, okay, this is what and you can use, a ball also if you want to probably make a little differentiation and variance to this strategy. And also,
thank you. Geetika, we just have 5 more minutes. I'm going to ask the other panelists very quickly. I'm sorry for cutting you off so abruptly, but just want to hear what the other panelists have to recommend, because these are such concrete strategies that are going to work very well. I'm going to share them with my teachers. Kavisha ji, if I could ask you for a concrete strategy to boost emotional wellness.
For being emotionally strong, it's very important that the child should know sometimes how to fail, ma'am. We always talk about success stories, but we always forget to tell them that failures are very, very important, and it's okay to fail. You failed, it's okay. Get up, bounce back. And we need to tell them that you pick up any success stories. We all feel we all are successful, but every success story has a chapter of failure in them, right? So we need to tell the children that failure is just a chapter in your story. Don't let it be the end of the story. It's just a chapter. This is, for me, it's very
well said. So well said. I think failure is just an indicator. I tell children very often, failure is just an indicator that tells you need to change direction. That's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah. Sheela ji, if coming to you, if you could recommend a concrete strategy that we can share with teachers.
Okay. What we do is we give our students a self-reflection sheet, and in that sheet we have 3 different words like roses, buds, and thorns. Roses are all the positive points where are the strengths of the child, whatever he or she has learned. They're right over there, the positive aspects that's called as roses. And buds are those which they're just emerging, where they feel that they're working well, but still more they need to work on. And thorns are all the challenges. So that's a sheet which has been given to every child at the end of a lesson, so that they write it, in that what is it that they have learned, what is it that they know, and what is it they would still like to know, and where is it very challenging for them. And this helps the teachers to work with them.
Because I've just got 2 more minutes. I very quickly need to ask my other friends. Dharini, your suggestion. And make it quick.
Yes, I'm going to make it super quick. So I just want one of you maybe to go and say, maybe Dr. Kavisha, when you're in a group of children and you want to excite all of them, you quickly say, my name is Kavisha. Repeat.
My name is Kavisha.
My name is Kavisha.
And then Mrs. Bali will say, my name is Neeta.
My name is Neeta.
With the rhythm. So you're following the rhythm. You are saying the name. Your colleagues are getting to know your name. And then the next child can repeat the name of the previous child before introducing himself or herself. And they can all do this exercise, learn the rhythm, and of course, remember the names of everybody else as well.
Dharini, I'm going to come back to you after getting my teachers to try it tomorrow. Monday.
Most certainly. Most certainly.
Lakshmi, we'd end with you. Any suggestions? Can you hear me, Lakshmi? I think she's not able to hear me. Lakshmi, are you able to hear me? No. Well, yes, I did see her move. Yes.
Have we have in
no, she's not audible.
Kudos, where all children other, we have had every day the child can am I audible?
You're not audible because I think your internet connection probably
am I not
is
audible?
Now you are.
Oh.
No, I think it's staggered. Anyways, I think we are running out of time, if I'm not mistaken. We're already at 6:15.
Appreciation from here, but we have never given up.
I can hear Lakshmi say something about appreciation.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll take it at that. I think Lakshmi is probably trying to tell us because of her internet connectivity. She's not audible to all of us. But it's been a beautiful evening. And I think all of you have contributed so well to this discussion. Very enjoyable discussion, and not just enjoyable, very, I must say all of you are very learned, very erudite. Thank you so much, Radhika ji, Geetika, Kavisha, Khurana, Mrs. George, Lakshmi, and Dharini. It was wonderful connecting with all of you. I enjoyed moderating the session so much. Though I rushed to the session because I just about finished a meeting when I kind of rushed into the session with absolutely zero preparedness, to be very honest. And I think you made up for that lack of preparedness with your being so learned. Thank you so much. Enjoyed every moment of this conversation with all of you. Have a great evening ahead. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. And let us hope this scourge disappears fast. Thank you so much.
Neeta. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Keep
And
smiling.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hello. Thank you to all.
Yes.
Excuse me. Please wait. We are going to distribute speaker certificates.
Right, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you all.
I got late, I think.
Thank you.
So thank you all of you for this wonderful panel discussion. So well moderated, Neeta ma'am. Thank you to you. Now we are going to present speaker certificate to all the panelists. So Rajeshwar, can you just present? Yeah, first of all, just this is for Dr. Neeta Bali ma'am, Director Principal, GD Goenka World School, Gurgaon.
Thank you.
This is for Radhika Bhushan ma'am, Founder Director, SKB Little Folk Preschool, Kanpur.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you.
And for Geetika Bahuguna, CEO, Millennium Group of Schools, Noida. Thank you, ma'am, for coming.
Thank you.
And this is for Kavisha Khurana, ma'am, Director, the Chintels Group of Schools, Kanpur. Thanks for coming, ma'am.
Thank you.
And this is for Dharini Upadhyaya, co-CEO and co-founder, Furtados School of Music. Thanks for the coming, ma'am.
Thank you.
And this is for Lakshmi Rao, Kadiyala, ma'am, Academy Director, Jain Group of Schools, Hyderabad. Thanks for coming, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
This is for Sheela George, Principal, ASPAM Indian International School, Sharjah, UAE. Thanks for joining us, ma'am.
Thank
you.
So, I again thank you all the panelists to join this wonderful session. And with this, we are ending for today's session. So again, we'll go online from tomorrow morning. So till then, goodbye and namaste to all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.